Hey, good evening, VC. Jeff, back again. This is an entry for Seeking of Threads, what are you calling it? The Gold Sounds Contest. So it's for his 45th video and his 300th radio show, apparently. So what he's asked us to do is show five or more records, CDs, whatever's, um, that for like um, touchstones in your life, sort of thing. So songs or albums or whatever that were important, maybe in your life or maybe in your. I guess I'm kind of interpreting it more in like, well, I guess I don't know. The ones I picked are more like albums that kind of formed my musical taste more than anything. Yeah, I guess I could have pulled some stuff like important moments in my life too, but yeah, I don't know. Let's go with what I pulled. Um, so if you're not familiar with this channel, of course, check it out. Shows some great stuff. If you like the stuff I show, he shows a lot of the same kind of stuff. He maybe digs a little deeper than me. He's got a crazy collection. Jumping right in. Uh, I actually started collecting to some degree pretty early in life. Yes, I had a record player way back when, maybe from when I was like 3 or 4 years old. So I started out with like a Crosley kind of deal, and then I think my parents gave me like one of those all-in-ones with the speakers. That's what I upgraded to maybe when I was like five-ish, and then right around five, like I had started buying maybe like 45s and whatever, in addition to the usual children's records at the time. Yeah, because I had all the storybooks on records and the Disney kind of stuff, and this whole book. Yeah, I'd probably get some of those for my kid, actually. I only have a couple things left. I do have a couple I saved. But yeah, but when I started buying 45s, probably roughly at 4 or 5 years old, one of the very first ones was Monkeys. So I'm a believer, and on the back side, Not Your Stepping Stone. So yeah, I listened to a ton of records when I was a kid. So I set up my little all-in-one inside the my sister and brother's playpen so they wouldn't mess with me, and I just like jam out with these things. And yeah, I know I trashed all my parents like Beatles and whatever albums. I was never a massive Beatles fan. Um, but yeah, I guess their collection to some degree or another formed my taste. But yeah, they were more on the easy listening side of things, and yeah, I was more into the stuff that had a little more rock to it. So especially Stepping Stone, I always liked that B side. And one of the other ones, which I unfortunately do not have the single anymore because it was just trashed, but I do need to hunt one down, is Mitch Ryder. So Mitch Ryder, Detroit Wheels. So I had Devil with a Blue Dress On, which was the B side. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was Devil with the Blue Dress On with I think the other B sides on here too. Yes, Good Golly Miss Ollie and Devil with the Blue Dress on one side. Yeah, I can't even remember what was on the other B side. It's not on this album, but yeah, great. Yeah, Detroit rock, rockin'. So I think more than anything, probably the Mitch Ryder, more than anything, like really informed my taste to go. I got into that Detroit rock stuff later on. I didn't know what I was listening to. Um, so somewhere like in the middle school, I got sidetracked. With your Milli Vanilli and all that stuff, like everyone else was listening to Madonna. Um, I picked up some Milli Vanilli the other day, just for a laugh. Probably keeping it just because, yeah, yeah, memories. But yeah, super. Yeah, love Mitch Ryder, still do. And then yeah, from there, I probably like maybe some friends in high school started introducing me to other music. So probably yeah, in the late '80s, early '90s, probably very early '90s. Um, yeah, so somebody introduced me to Mudhoney. I'll come back to that somebody later. So yeah, I just got this today actually, just arrived in the mail. this was a really big album in my high school years. This, I think, a ton of plays. Um, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, this and Super Fuzz, Big Muff. I had these on CDs at the time. This one I picked up. This is an original. I picked it up way back in the '90s. Probably this quickly became one of my very favorite albums, and I hunted down a used vinyl copy pretty early on, to maybe sometime in high school. So that would have been like early '90s. So I managed to find a copy of this really cheap, actually. So that's an original. This is the new reissue, which is a slightly different cover. Instead of the boat, it's got the airplane. I think the boat's on the inside, though. I haven't opened it. Yeah, I'm very excited to listen to this. I might throw it on tonight. So it's got a whole second disc, which has some of the singles, which I had on CD, I think, at the time. Some of these I might have on vinyl. So I have a lot of Mud Honey 7 inches. But yeah, it's a great album that definitely got me into a lot of like budget rock kind of stuff. So I started exploring a lot of Steve Turner, the guitarist. He had a like Super Electro label, which was also distributed by Sub Pop, and that got me into some of the other labels like Estrus and what's some of the other ones. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I started. I'll Get Hip. Yeah, I started buying a lot of those and looking at some of the stuff like Sonics or whatever. But yeah, I got really into that kind of garage revival stuff in the '90s, and yeah, so I started looking at that there was a whole scene going on in Tokyo too. So eventually, that is one of the things that got me in Japan at some point. But yeah, and then this album, I must have come by these guys by way of Nirvana, I would guess, because yeah, cause I'm an East Coaster. uh, but yeah, these guys. This was the first major concert I'd ever attended. Was on this tour, Melvin's. They were opening up for Primus, actually, at University of Maryland, as I recall. And so I was at that show. Never was a huge Primus fan. Props to Les Claypool's playing, but I was never a fan. Friends were really obsessed with him, and I don't think he's aged that well for the most part. But yeah, I still love this album, but I think I really wore out my copy on CD. I wanted this on vinyl so bad, but it was so hard to get back then. Yeah, so even back then, I was like, I always preferred vinyl over CDs, but I had way more records than vinyl. But I kept, I held on to probably about a third of my collection over the years. I really regret selling all my punk stuff and whatever when I was moving around. But I thought at the time they were going so cheap at the time. I thought that I could hunt them down again, but yeah, guess not. Regret I got rid of all my like stuff like Dark Side of the Moon and yes, stuff that was like 50-cent records all day long, like Fleetwood Mac. Now I can't get anymore, but not that I'm a huge fan. But yeah, Melvin, awesome. Yeah, walked in there. They were starting up with what was it? I think Sonic Reducer or something like that. But yeah, awesome. Got into the kind of that sludgy stuff at the time, and then yeah, down the street from me was a used record shop. Well, I had Tower Records like 5 minutes away, and like another couple minutes down the street, there was like a used shop that had a lot of punk stuff. So I just started, buying up stuff that looked interesting. So one of them was a magazine. So this I bought, and then pretty much I went back the next day and just started buying their records. So magazine. This is Give Me Everything, which is off their first album, and Love You Big Dummy, which is a really awesome song, but I don't think it appeared on the album. I can't. I think that it's only on this album. This, but yeah, awesome post punk. I started really getting into like the post punk thing, which really was not popular at the time, because this looks a lot more hardcore, but it's post punk. Yeah, a little more arty. So then, yeah, started, high school, started reading all the Rolling Stones albums you must listen to kind of thing. Uh, I stumbled across this, and it was sealed at the time. I thought it was a repress, but now that I have Discogs, I've discovered it's probably a second pressing. Like it's a early to mid. It's like a pretty early pressing, like 75-ish, give or take. So Raw Power, which really continued to inform my taste. Again, that kind of Detroit rock. Then I started listening to Iggy Pop's solo stuff, especially this album, probably right before Train Spotting, actually. Yeah, so especially The Passenger. Which I think I heard the Banshees version before I heard the Iggy version, but because I think that got a lot of airplay. There was like alternative radio in the Washington D.C. area. So Banshees used to get a lot of HFS for those who were in the area. There's a 99.1. I think it had a different. It was pretty low. It was pretty low in the dial when they first started. 88 something. I don't know. But yeah, they used to get Banshees were constant and Cure. Yeah, Iggy not so much. But yeah, it's got a disc, Bowie, all that stuff. Um, so same guy that got me into Mudhoney, introduced me to Sonic Youth. The one that really resonated with me was the one they did with Lydia Lunch, which got me into No Wave. That was Death Valley 6. Oh, can't show that. That's nude. Death Valley 69. So Lydia Lunch. This is an Italian comp. So highly recommend this one. It's a double discer. So then, yes, then yeah, I started digging into like a lot of these noise bands and started reading zines on noise stuff. And one of the bands I got to see first, I saw a lot of Japanese bands, but I was really into like the Japanese garage stuff, which they very rarely came to the East Coast, but the noise guys did. So I saw a lot of the noise bands. Zenigeva was one of the ones I saw first. Melpin and all those. But yeah, of course these guys, they have root. They cross pollinate with like the Ruins and Acid Mother Temple, all these other bands. So then, yeah, that got me really digging into Japanese stuff, and eventually, I was really into Japanese bands. I ended up moving to Tokyo. I moved to Yokohama, later into Tokyo, and yeah, that's history. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of my. I sold off practically all my CDs during all these moves. I did a lot of international moves back and forth. I ditched a lot of my records, so I lost a lot of that. But I've seen a ton of great bands, some really obscure ones, and some that I just don't get to see very often. Just because Tokyo is just a magnet. But anyway, that's my 5+. That's definitely a plus. Yes, songs, or in my case, mostly albums that were kind of milestones. And I probably should have shown some jazz stuff. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, I was always casually into jazz, but I never really got into jazz until the VC. I should have pulled some of that. But yeah, especially like free jazzy kind of stuff, and I kind of got there kind of sideways from stuff like Unwound and Huggy Bear and all those guys that had like kind of a jazzy influence. But anyway, I'll stop here, and then yeah. So if you haven't already, check out Seeking Out the Reds channel, and yeah, I will be visiting your PayPal or whatever to order a T-shirt. Yeah, 'cause I always need T-shirts. So yep, have a great weekend, everyone. It's almost the weekend here, and I am signing off because this is starting to run long.